Hey, class, it's Mrs. Gilling here. I want to give you some instructions on how to complete your project number one, all about some good old reforms you're going to learn about. Quick reminder, all the projects for this course are found in Unit 5, and Unit 5 is unlocked, so you can access the projects at any time. I would encourage you to go get those done early so they're out of the way and you can have an awesome grade and show all of your awesome learning. But I totally get that life comes up. So they're there so you can access them whenever you are ready. I'm giving you these instructions now because I actually think now would be a great time to do the project because you've been learning about these reforms. But again, if you've got a busy life and now's not a good time, I totally understand. Just keep working in the course and get through what you can today. Okay, before I give you instructions, though, I got a joke for you. Friend number one, I wish I had been born 1,000 years ago. Friend number two, why? Friend number one, just think of all the history I wouldn't have to learn. Get it? Because if you're born 1,000 years ago, you already know it, so you don't gotta learn it. All right, let's go into your project prompt. So, what were three major reforms that took place in the progressive era? And reforms are kind of like changes that happen because of things that were going on. What led up to them, and how do they impact you today? You have two options for how you're going to answer those questions. You can either do a 7-slide slideshow presentation or a 5-paragraph essay. And here are the project instructions for that. So if you do the slideshow, you're going to, again, answer that question. What were three major reforms that took place in the progressive era? What led up to them, and how do they impact you today? So you'll put a title slide where you give your name and a good title for your project. Then you're going to have an introductory slide that's worth 10 points. In that slide, you're going to list the three reforms that took place in the progressive era that you are going to discuss. So basically, hey, in this slideshow, we're going to be talking about these three reforms in the progressive era, and boom, 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 list those three. Body slide number one is worth 20 points. And in that slide, you're going to explain the first reform that you picked. Make sure to list the reform, explain it, and say what led up to it. And then, most importantly, how does that reform still impact you today? I'm not looking generic, like it impacts the world. I want to know how it impacts you and your life. And that must be at least 5 sentences or bullet points. Body slide number two is you're going to do the same thing. It's worth 20 points. List the second reform that you learned about, explain it, what led up to that change happening, and then how does it impact you, your very specific life today. And it must be at least 5 sentences or bullet points. Body slide number three is worth 20 points. You're going to do the same thing, but talk about the third reform that happened. Explain it, what led up to it, how does it impact you, catching on here, you today, and it must be at least 5 sentences or bullet points. Then you'll have a concluding slide worth 10 points where you sum up your slideshow, remind the reader, hey, in this slideshow we talked about these 3 reforms and how they still impact us today. Then you're going to need to do a little bit of research for this project. I want you to, do Google searches on these reforms and get some more information. So you'll need to have a citation slide where you list 2 sources in MLA format that you used. And that's worth 10 points. And then you'll get 10 points for the overall appearance. Make sure to pick a fun slideshow theme. Don't just, put it all black and white with nothing. Pick a fun theme, include a picture. You want at least 4 pictures there, and then make sure you're double checking your spelling and grammar. So that's the slideshow option. The essay option is very similar. It just, instead of putting it in a slideshow form, you would put it in an essay form. So you're going to start with an introduction worth 10 points where you'll have an attention grabber, so maybe an interesting fact, a quote, a short story, and then you'll list your thesis statement, which is, the main point of your essay about these reforms. And then you'll list your 3 main points. An example could be, many reforms took place during the progressive era that still impact us today. 3 of those reforms include ... and then you're going to list the 3 reforms. So that's, one way that you could set that up. In body paragraph number 1, you're going to talk about the first reform. So just like we introduced in the slideshow, explain what it is, what led up to it, how it impacts you today, and write at least 5 sentences for that. And that's worth 20 points. Same thing with body paragraphs number 2 and 3. You're going to write write about those different reforms, just each one, explaining what they are and what led up to them and how they impact you today. Make sure they're at least 5 sentences and they're each worth 20 points. Then you'll have your conclusion where you sum up your essay, restate your thesis statement, summarize your 3 main points. So something along the lines of, in this paper you learned about 3 different reforms and how they impact us today. And write those and list what those 3 reforms were. That's worth 10 points. And then you have to give me your citations in MLA format. Give me at least 2 sources that they use. And then for this one, you'll be great on your grammar. You'll get 10 points for that. Make sure you're double checking your spelling, your punctuation, your capitalization. Make it look good. If you have any questions at all, please reach out to me. I want to help you with this. I love this one. I think the reforms are super fascinating. I hope you do too. Thanks, guys.